Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and I told you guys there were more scopes and such things coming. Well, something arrived today, and we're going to take it and take a look at it. It's in this nice box here from FedEx. Came all the way from Shenzhen, China, and I can't wait to get it open because it's supposed to be a nice, powerful scope. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just turn the camera down to look at the box, and we'll open her up and see what's in it. Some of you probably noticed that I uploaded this video to YouTube and made it public, and then a few hours later that I took it back down. And the reason for that was that after I uploaded the video to YouTube, I checked on the Amazon reviews that other people had done and discovered that there was some question as to whether this scope was actually a 32 power scope or not. So I immediately loaded up several scopes and took them out to the range to put on rifles and compare what I could see from one to another. And one of the other scopes I took was a Barska 8 to 32 by 50 zoom scope, which would be, the equivalent of this one we're reviewing. And I discovered that there were things certainly to be found out doing that. I had not thought of of comparing this scope to another one, and right side by side. So I was a little surprised at what I found, and we'll have those particular findings at the end of the video. Okay, I'll summarize it and I'll give you the pros and cons, and from there, it's up to you to decide how you feel about it. Okay? Look at that, 8 to 32 power. Now that right there should reach out, way out there. We'll go and get all the other stuff out of the box now. This should be scope mounts, or scope rings, whatever you like to call them, and there we are, scope rings. And this is a sunshade, which is a good thing to have. I usually install it when I use a scope. Sunshade to go on the end. And here is a nice rubberized eyepiece. You see, it's ready to go on. Alright, so, and it comes with an actual instruction manual. It's hard to get an instruction manual most of the time. And there's a cleaning cloth in there. I've probably got 1 million of those. Alright, so while I clean up this stuff, I'll let you guys take a little break. Okay, this is the Feyachi Tactical 8 to 32 zoom by 50mm objective AOEG rifle scope. Okay, it's got dual red and green illuminated optics, and it comes with scope rings that will fit either Weaver or Picatinny mounts, whichever kind of reel you got. Alright, it's made out of alloy. It's a black matte black finish. The reticle is a mill dot reticle, and the objective lens diameter is 50 millimeters. The magnification is adjustable 8 to 32. Now in these zoom scopes, you'll find that when you zoom out to the higher power, like up 30, 32, up in there, that the distance that your eye can be from the scope narrows down quite a lot. If you're not the right distance from it, it may be not as clear as it would be if if you were on one of the lower powers. It's just in the nature of the beast. So you have to move your eye a little closer or a little further away, and it's a narrow band. Alright, so the length of this scope is 380 millimeters, weighs 785 grams, which is not much. Uses a CR 2032 battery, which is included, and the thing is shockproof, fog-proof, waterproof, and the ocular type is fast focus. Okay, it comes with a sunshade and a rubber eyepiece, and all you have to do is just put them on there. In the box is the sunshade, the eyepiece, 2 scope rings, 1 lens cover. I didn't put the lens cover in there. An Allen key, a cleaning cloth, and an instruction book. So that is the Feyachi Tactical Scope. The link to it is they're selling it on Amazon. The link to it will be down in the little doobly-doo below the video. The description box down there. So all you got to do is click on it and go take a look at it. The rifle is a Savage Axis and .223 caliber. I think it's just right for this scope, considering that they can both reach out there a pretty good distance. Now then, safety Nazis, listen up. The bolt is open. The magazine is here. There's nothing in the chamber. So that's it. That's all the notice for safety Nazis. Alright, now then, we're going to come over here. This thing has, of course, these lens covers that pop up, and you can just pull them right off the scope and lay them down, which is what I've done. And then there's a little ring here in the end to unscrew and put the sunshade on. I like to use the sunshade because it keeps from having little bits of glare on your lens if you're at the wrong angle. So we'll screw the sunshade on. There. And I can put this away safely somewhere. This and the little cap. The little cap will go on here too, but I don't know. I'm not sure that I need that one. I'll put it on there when I store it. Alright, so this is your adjustable objective lens right here. It goes from a little under 25 yards out to infinity. You can see the markings on it here. There's a dot on the top that tells you where you're lined up at. Works really great for eliminating parallax. This is your elevation adjustment under this little cap here. And it's got a nice turret there that you can hold with your hand. Nice big turret to grip and move just right. Same thing, the windage adjustments on the other side. Same setup over there. Back here we've got the button that turns on the lighted reticle. You have to put, I'm not sure if there's a battery in there or not, because I just took this out and mounted it on the rifle. So let's see what's in there. There may well be a battery in it. I don't know. If not, then you probably have to provide your own. Same size battery fits almost everything I got. Yes, battery's in there. It's a CR 2032 coin battery. So get that out of the way. Okay, now back here at the back, sort of zoom in on that a little bit. There's more interesting things here to see. Right here at the back, this is where you set your magnification. You can see the numbers here. There's a little dot right here in the front of it to line them up on. And you can crank it all the way around here to 32 power. 32 times magnification. That'll get you out there for sure. Now this rifle is right at the same magnification they use for small bore bench rest shooting. So you could use it as a target rifle, and you could zoom back out with it to a lesser power around 8 or 10 or 12 and use it as a hunting rifle scope. This will fit the whole spectrum. Alright, now this guy is what turns on the lighted reticle inside the scope, and in a little bit I'll move the camera around and let you guys see that. Alright, this right here is where you adjust the eyepiece so that you can properly focus on the crosshairs. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my little laser and stick in the end of the barrel, and we'll set the camera back behind the scope and let you guys have a look right down the scope. Alright guys, I said I'd show you down the scope, but the magnification is too great for the distance we've got here. But I can show you the lighted reticle. If you notice, it's starting to turn green. Green's getting brighter and brighter. Now we'll go to red, and the red will start getting brighter. The red's not as visible in here in the dark as the green. That's the high level of the red on the reticle. A couple of things I didn't point out is the little ring right here that was screwed in up here screws into the end of the shade, and you can take the lens cover and pop him right on top of there, and I've got the lens cover on here, so we'll stay clean until such time as we're ready to use it. Now this eyepiece, I'm not accustomed to using these guys. I'll put it on and we'll take a look at it. I believe that's the correct way to mount the little rubber light excluder for the eyepiece. I never use them, so you know, I could be 100% wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly how you mount the little booger. I don't shoot, I guess, in enough sunlight to worry about excluding light from this end. These are 223 Remington, and I'm going to shoot them at 200 yards. I haven't got it zeroed for 200, but we'll get there. That right there, that's the 50-yard targets. And we come around, that's the 100-yard targets. And we come around here, and see if I can zoom in on it some. Those are the 200-yard targets. And I'm shooting at let's see if I can get it right. I'm shooting at those two black circles on the right-hand target stand. And this camera's not going to show the hits or misses or whatever. So I was just showing you how far out there it is. Alright, I just returned from the range, and bolts open, no bullets. Back to no bullets in the magazine. That's for your safety Nazis. And I learned several things by this. When I got ready to zero, you know, to bore sight this scope here at the house, I discovered not only was the focus, you know, up close something I couldn't handle, but I couldn't find my laser bore sighter. It was disappeared, gone. And so I knew that the guys at the Academy would bore sight the thing for free, so I went down there, and they, you know, came out and carried the rifle in for me and set up. And they used a bore sighter that mounts on the end of the barrel, but you look into the inside of it, the little square, like a piece of graph paper right in the middle of it, and you set it up that way. And that turns out to be much better than using the laser, which usually gets you near the paper. This bore sighting with the little guy on the end of the barrel, that was the first shot. Of course, that was 25 yards, but that was sighted in, you know, with the, I think they called it a Burris. Some company said it as a Barska bore sighter, and it's much better than the laser for a scope, so I'm going to order one. This was where I shot it at 100 yards. Actually, I like this. I started out a little bit above and worked my way down until I got two of them in the red. I figured that was good enough because 100 yards wasn't my goal. My goal was 200 yards. So I moved down to 200 yards and set up this particular target right here. I got to turn this thing around so I can see what you're seeing. And when I started hitting in the orange there, I figured I had it sighted in at 200 yards. And then I moved to another target to shoot a group of 5 shots. Kind of a large group, admittedly, the 2 touching the target and 3 out and 3 outside of it in the 10 ring. But I'm not experienced at shooting 200 yards. That's what I did at the 200 yards. I'm sure if I practiced on it some, I could get stuff down in the center all the time. I mean, when I was sighting the thing in, the last 3 sighted in spots got in the center, so that should have done the job just fine. As far as the scope, I like it. I could see the targets. I could see where I hit the targets at 200 yards with the scope. I had a spotting scope with me, but I really didn't need it because this little guy turned up 32 time magnification. At 200 yards, I could see where I was hitting this target. I don't know if you could see if it was just, this is a scratch, one of those scratch and sniff targets, and the hole turns yellow when you hit it. So I don't know if you could see just regular paper that just had a hole show up, but you could definitely see all the hits with the scope. The adjustments, once you get out to 200 yards, one click is getting close to an inch, or maybe it is an inch. I'd have to look on the little chart there, but getting it down to a fine point is kind of touchy, but it didn't move around. It's still steady, and after the shooting, you didn't lose zero. Nothing bad went wrong. Okay, so in the original review, I wound up at the end with an unfair comparison of this scope to a scope I hadn't looked through in a couple of years. So I took this scopes to the range, mounted them on rifles, and this time I put up a target at 50 yards and I zoomed in on it at 32 times with the Feyachi scope, and I zoomed in on it at 32 time magnification with the Barska scope. Okay, and indeed I discovered that the Barska scope, even though it was blurry at 32 time magnification, it was clearer than this scope. And then I compared the size of the image that I saw, and this scope, the image was not quite as large as that of the Barska. So I don't think that the seller has tried to defraud us here by putting a lower magnification scope. I think it's just that the product didn't come up to expectations on the 32 time power. At the longer distance out at 200 yards at 32 times, I could see where the bullets hit the target and stuff. Now it was a little blurry. All these lower price scopes like this, tend to be blurry when you get above, oh, maybe 28 time magnification, and this one is no exception. I have a Weaver T36 that it's fixed focus at 36 times magnification that I use on my custom-made bench rest rifle, and it's perfectly clear at that power. But this Feyachi scope, they're trying to sell it for $53. The Weaver cost me about $450. So for the price that you're looking at here, you have to realize that you're not going to get perfection. I mean, that's the opening shut of it. Even the Barska scope itself sells for $100, whereas this one is half that price. So, and you know, it held the zero through all the rounds that I shot, and I went through maybe a couple of boxes of ammo there playing with it, and I don't know why that it would have been more clear at 200 yards than it was at 50. I'm just not able to explain that, but it was, you know. It's probably something in the optics that the closer you get, the blurrier the thing's going to get at high magnification. And you could take the scope and zoom it back down, you know, into the 8 or 10 power range, and I'm pretty sure that you couldn't tell the difference between this and you know, some other hunting scope. So in favor of it, it holds the zero. It's better at distance than it is up close, and yeah, the cons are it doesn't give quite the magnification of the 32 power Barska, and at 32 power it's not as clear as the Barska, which itself is kind of blurry, you know, at 32 power. So I guess you have to say, well, would I rather pay $53 and be a little less sharp than one of the more expensive ones, or not? That's I would guess that's a personal decision. Myself, if I needed another scope, I would consider buying the scope myself, knowing the limitations of it. I guess in future scope reviews, I need to take another scope. If I have a comparable scope, I need to take the comparable scope with me and compare them, so that I don't imagine one thing or another. Because it'd been a couple of years since I used the Barska scope, and I remembered it being blurry at 32 times, and so I assumed, you know, that this was better, and it wasn't. So that's it. Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now. .56. .69. 3.52.